journey and what inspired you to pursue a career in law enforcement, Colonel Hager, Colonel Aaron?
Yeah, for me, I was kind of raised around it. My dad is a retired law enforcement officer. My two uncles are retired. I had two more uncles that worked in kind of fringe of law enforcement, one capacity or another. My brother is currently a chief of police at one of the agencies in the suburbs of Little Rock, and I've just honestly, it's kind of what I was raised around. I fought it for a while, changed majors a couple of times in college, and I still remember going and talking to my dad and having that conversation, saying, "Hey, this is what I want to do," because he had tried his best to steer my brother and I in a different direction, but we both ultimately knew this is where we belonged and what we did. So for me, it was just almost kind of a family thing.
I guess
Colonel Aaron?
for me, it was just law enforcement was something I knew I wanted to get into. Honestly, I sought a federal law enforcement route at first. My senior year in high school, it was either probably going to the military, and I got an offer to play college football there at a small school in Conway. And so off to college I went and playing ball. They didn't have a criminal justice degree, so political science was the degree I went. And my spring semester of my senior year, I took the U.S. Marshals exam and state police exam. And at that time, the Marshals exam was very, I guess, math heavy. And a political science degree, it was like one college math class was all that was required, and college algebra was it, and then a C got me through college algebra. And so I didn't truth be told, I didn't pass my marshal's exam, passed the state police exam, and things happen for a reason, and I couldn't have asked for a better career path and what it's done for me and my family, the opportunities it's given me.
How do you both feel that you have evolved as law enforcement professionals?
Well, some people would probably say we haven't evolved enough, but we're both very mission-oriented type troopers, and I think that's kind of what led to the direction we've taken the department. We still both, I think, have the mindset today in the positions that we hold the same as we did when we were road troopers working the highway, and that's something I think that's served us well, and it served the mission of our agency well now that we're in the positions we're in.
Colonel Aaron?
I think just as a young trooper, I was fortunate, and I had field training officers that were very criminal enforcement oriented people, and to me that it lured me that direction. And criminal interdiction was something that kind of was a focus and something that I just had a knack for. And you sit back as a trooper out here going to work every day and working and having a good time, and you start seeing supervisory positions that come open, and honestly, you see poor supervisors ahead of you, and you see how they treat their younger people, and you feel like you can do a better job and hopefully train other troopers to work in the efforts that you support. And
What are some of the biggest challenges you guys have faced in your roles, Colonel Hager, Colonel Aaron, and how have you overcome them?
For me, it was just learning the process. There's a lot of things that, we know how to be cops, we know how to be troopers, but, when you get into this role, you have to learn the legislative process, the budget, a lot of human resources things. And to be completely truthful, our agency has never done a very good job of preparing our future leaders. And so it's kind of trial by fire, and especially for us, when we took this position or these positions, you immediately are in a legislative session. So you swear in one day, session starts the next. And we felt like we jumped on a treadmill going full speed. And I kept thinking that things were going to slow down, but you just go to phase two. The session was over with. Then you get into a lot of just operational heavy issues that we had a lot of goals that we wanted to achieve. And, Jason and I were just talking before we started the interview that, we've been successful in achieving most of those goals. I think the biggest thing for me, I can say, is not only for me to learn what we have the authority to do and not to do, but also to communicate that to the field, because I know as a new trooper, or well into my career, I thought, well, if that's what the colonel wants to do, that's what we can do. And truthfully, that's not the case. I mean, we all have a boss, but there's certain things that we have full authority over, operational decisions within the department, kind of the direction and the tone that we set with enforcement. There's other things that we don't have control over. There's a lot of personnel issues, budget issues, things like that we're at the mercy of the legislature and the governor's office. So just kind of learning those limitations that you have and adjusting accordingly, and once again communicating that to the field. I think that was the biggest adjustment for me.
For me, I think one of the biggest obstacles, hurdles to cross is as you go up through the ranks. It's a struggle because there's pressure on yourself to know that you're going to have all the answers, and understanding that it's okay not to have the answers, and to rely on those people that are around you. Obviously, a smart and good leader surrounds himself with smart decision-making people, and rely on those people and listen to them and take their advice.
The introduction of new technology, you guys have dash cams. I don't know if you guys are using LPRs out there. What is the impact on the new technology that's out there today for the troopers' cruisers, for your CID agents, for your lab? How is that intertwined in your department's operations?
Well, I mean, you can't escape it. It's one of those things that I'm a guy that still has trouble with email. So, I'm not a very technical savvy person, but thank the Lord, we've got a lot of people in the agency that are. And it's just a tool in the toolbox. We did just recently implement an LPR program that's in the process as we speak. Of course, we've ran dash cams for a long time. It's a great tool for, evidentiary purposes, for court, for training, for debriefs and things like that. You have to embrace it. It's there. Whether you're going to, love it or hate it, it's there. It's part of our job now. You can't escape it. So, and truthfully don't want to. But at the end of the day, this is still a very human-oriented job. With all the technology in the world, you've got to have troopers that are willing to, perform their duty, stay the course for the mission of the agency, and learn how to talk to people and know how to talk to people. And it's still just a very human job. You can't take the human factor out of anything. You certainly can in law enforcement.
How do you guys prioritize trooper training and development within the department?
Well, so we kind of have a rule when our troopers start troop school. We run a paramilitary style academy. We tend to have about a 35% washout rate in the academy. So it's an intense program. And typically on the front end of that, we kind of have a rule that you don't teach anything that's going to get them hurt or sued, because they're not going to retain a whole lot. So there's just a lot of administrative things that happen on the front end. And after you kind of start getting to that core group and that you've got the class that's settled in, that's probably going to be the class that graduates, then we start getting into more of the meat and potatoes of the job. And a lot of that for us, is all heavy on our mission, which is public safety first and foremost. And, we're very big on the priority of life. So, and it's a very simple scale. It's the general public, innocent citizens first, the trooper second, and the suspect third. And that's everything we do. We train accordingly. So, when we talk about that, these guys have got to be able to enforce the job or enforce the law. They have to be confident in the laws that they're enforcing, and they have to have the ability and the tools and the training to enforce that law. So we lean heavy on shooting, fighting, and driving. That's the three things that are going to get our guys hurting or killed. So that's something we pay a lot of attention to in troop school and also in service training.
Now, in terms of training, do the troopers have annual training after they get done, like with FTO and all that? Do troopers are they required to have minimum amounts of training to keep their certification? I don't know how Arkansas is to Florida, so.
Right. Yeah, we do. By class standards in Arkansas, we have to have 24 hours of continuing training every year that all law enforcement officers have to complete. With state police, we do a little more than that. We typically have a 40-plus hour in-service class that all troopers are required to attend. Some of that is mandated by the state or DOJ, the training that they have to receive. But then as a command staff, we'll look at some issues that we think are important that our guys need to maybe freshen up on a little bit. And so those remaining hours, we'll focus on, whatever the kind of topic is at hand, whether that be, driving is a big one for us. We spend a lot of time on that track. So, that and just, we do a lot of firearms training and responding to active shooter situations, things like that. So, but we do have a continuing education program that's mandatory.
Do you guys have your own track now? Because I remember hearing that you guys did not at one point, or am I misinformed?
Yeah, no, we do have our own track now, and it's fairly new. We've had it for a few years, but it's expanding all the time. In fact, we're currently in a building process. We're building a new barracks out in our driving facility. We've got about a 260 some odd acre tract of land that our track sits on. It's a little over 2 mile road course that our guys train on. We also have what we call the pit pad or TVI pad. It's just a long straight stretch that, we do all the TVI training. We have a tower building that overlooks that they kind of do, just control the track. Basically, where they can stay in contact with the instructors in the cars. We have someone just kind of looking overwatch, seeing the big picture. And then we have a classroom building that's separate from the tower building that we can seat about 150 people in, something like that. And you can section it off for smaller groups or classes. And then we have another building separate from that that's for physical training and for our RPAT program, which is a physical fitness test that's required for state police.
Now, I know the legislative session is in swing down there, Colonel Hagar. Did you present your wants and needs to the people responsible? Can you highlight some of those things that you're looking for towards this legislative year to get in for your agency and the troopers?
Yeah, the biggest thing for us is it's part of a bigger plan called Arkansas Forward. That's an initiative that Governor Sanders has put forward, but state police is a big part of that, and she's highlighted the state police specifically as part of that plan. But right now, the starting salary in Arkansas is $54,000 for a trooper, and part of this pay plan that's been approved by the governor's office is going to raise that starting salary to $67 and some change. So it's a significant bump in starting salary, and there's required minimums. So for state police, we have a new trooper is that rank trooper. After that, after 4.5 years, they go to trooper first class. After 3 more years, or 3.5, they go to corporal. And then, of course, beyond that, those are all tenure ranks. Beyond that, it's a competitive process to make sergeant, lieutenant, captain, and so on up the ranks. So this pay plan creates a minimum for each of those ranks. And it's all significant bumps for what it's been in the past. So it's a big deal for us, and that's something that we're really pushing hard for in this session.
Okay, where is it at now? Was it just did Governor Sanders just present it to the legislature? And they're going to start. Yeah,
so they actually finalized it last Friday, a week ago today. It went to the Bureau of Legislative Research, and they actually write the bill, and then once it's written, they present it to the legislature. We have sponsors on the House and Senate side that are going to push the legislation. And, of course, they'll be assigned through committees in both chambers and then ultimately go to the floor in both chambers. But right now, I would venture to say I've talked to 75% or more of our legislators, and collectively we've probably talked to all of them. And there's a lot of support for the program. There's a lot of support with state police. So our communications group that is sitting off camera behind us, they've done an amazing job. We started a series back it's been 3 or 4 months ago called Your Arkansas State Police, and it basically is highlighting the different units and divisions within state police that people don't know about. And we've done a terrible job over the years of explaining to the citizens of Arkansas what we do with their money. And we're a very expensive agency to fund, and we realize that it's important for these legislators to be able to explain to their constituents why they're supporting a plan that's going to cost a significant amount of money, they need to understand what we do. So as those videos dropped every week, we had a distribution list with all the legislators, and we sent that video out to all of them. We've got a lot of great feedback on that, and we actually concluded that today. I sent the last video out today that went to the legislative body.
Which department was that? You sent out?
The one I sent out today was for our emergency response team, which the majority of what they do is like civil unrest, civil disobedience type situations, riots that we had in 2020. Those guys performed amazingly, but they also do some other things that people are not as familiar with. They do grid searches for evidence, for bodies. Things like that. They go out at the request of our Criminal Investigations Division or other agencies, and they canvass areas. We can utilize them for natural disasters, things like that. It's a group of a little over 100, I think, that is on that team right now, and they're just kind of our first call. If we need a large group of bodies, then we call ERT, and they do an outstanding job.
Yeah, we imitate Colonel Aaron. He goes, "This is your Arkansas State Police."
Yeah, yeah.
That's a big thing amongst the social media circles. I mean, you guys know. I'm sure you guys know. You're like the #1 searched on YouTube for chases. I mean, Jacob Bird.
Had lunch with him today.
Did you?
Yeah.
As soon as you put Arkansas State, Jacob Bird's name pops up, and you don't even have to put anything.
That's crazy. I don't know how that happened. So my son's in the military, and earlier this week I was in San Antonio where he's assigned, and I took him and a member of his unit to the airport early one morning. And the guy that's in his unit is actually a Bighorn, Montana Sheriff's Department deputy. And as soon as he got in the car, he started talking about YouTube and the videos that are on there, and immediately mentioned Jacob Bird. And I was thinking, I don't know how that happened, but yeah, the guy's he's a social media sensation, I guess. It's crazy.
Discuss any recent successes or notable cases that your department has handled. I mean, I get the press releases and all that, but is there anything that sticks out in your mind that is really kind of set apart?
Jason we have 2 deputy directors, and Jason being one of them, and he's over all things enforcement. So he may have a better idea for the criminal investigations. Yeah, while he's thinking about that, and recent success is the one that I can tell you that several large loads, to include one that was over a ton of marijuana seized. So.
Yep.
And
yep, I'm looking at that right now.
Yeah, and as far as the CID side goes, Jason may know of some things.
I'll echo Colonel Hagar on our ICP guys. That's probably pretty close to my heart as far as always been a part of my career. But our ICP guys are very well respected. They teach across the country, and those guys get out there and they not only do their interdiction, but they help the troops that they're assigned in, whether it's bad weather or wrecks, and they're an extra trooper in that troop. But those guys, I'll put them up against anybody in the country. I know
Tanner Hess.
Yeah, Tanner Hess.
Yeah. Hess the Interstate Criminal Patrol. That they have some large. I mean, it's like almost every day. I mean, how can you explain how they're successful? I mean, do they just know what to look for? I mean they've got. I mean, I don't see many those kinds of seizures with the other state law enforcement agencies I follow and report on, and all. You guys every day. I mean, big loads of marijuana, meth. I mean, are you guys seeing an uptick of illegal narcotics because of what's going on down south, and that's why they're getting them, or would that be like a Colonel Aaron?
Yes.
Well, first off, we're very fortunate. We've got Interstate 40 and Interstate 30 that runs right through the middle of the state.
Right.
And then we're neighbors to Oklahoma, which Oklahoma produces a tremendous amount of marijuana. When they opened up the legalization of marijuana, they didn't regulate the number of grows. And so the state of Oklahoma, they grow more marijuana than they can sell, and so on the black market it goes. And the majority of our marijuana seizures come out of our neighbor state, Oklahoma, and so we kind of get first dibs of any traffic coming out of there. But I mean, these guys are good. These guys, these are I hate to use the word routine traffic stops, but these guys, they stop cars, they listen to what these people have to say, and they compare their body behavior and the way they talk to other normal motoring public, and they pay attention and they pick up on criminal indicators, and one thing leads to another, and a criminal seizure takes place after the fact. And so as far as coming up 30, we've got troopers assigned on 30. Interstate 40 seems to be kind of the hot road right now. Weather kind of plays a role in that, especially during the wintertime when the northern routes get snowed in. It pushes traffic down south on 40, so it adds that volume of traffic on 40. But of course, anything up 30 comes up out of Texas or out of the southern border.
What are the goals of the Arkansas State Police over the next few years?
You know, our biggest goal, I would say, is getting our manpower back to where it needs to be. When we took over the administration, we had 490 troopers in the state. That's badge-wearing, gun-toting commissioned troopers. You know, that's highway patrol, criminal investigations, regulatory, all the divisions that comprise the state police. To put that in perspective, in the year 2000, we had 608. Our population has grown by like 300,000 people since that time, but yet we were 118 troopers less than what we had 25 years ago now. So our biggest goal was to get our numbers back up. And the biggest reason for that, we're an assisting agency by statute and by mission. And we can't provide the services to our local law enforcement partners if we don't have the numbers to even, we were barely keeping our head above water doing our primary job, and we certainly weren't doing what we should have been doing for our partners. So we've tried to increase our numbers in highway patrol and criminal investigation. We've done that significantly. We've hired a little over 150 people in the last 2 years that we have out on the road. We've got another class going right now of 39. And as soon as they graduate, we've already started making preparations for the next class that will start this summer. So ultimately, we'd like to get to about 725. If you look at proportionately 600 to the population base that we had 25 years ago, we need about 725 to equal that same ratio for trooper per citizen. And when we get that number up like that, it allows us, again, to be that partner that we should be. We have a lot of agencies in Arkansas that they are completely dependent on state police for anything outside of just a regular patrol function. And a lot of them are dependent, or not dependent, but they are very appreciative of the patrol support that we offer them as well. But I would guess that probably 3/4 of our counties are totally reliant on us for major investigations. Homicide, robberies, rapes, things like that. Any complex investigation. We handle just about all of those when you get outside of central Arkansas and northwest Arkansas. The rest of the state is very rural. Our partners do a great job. It's not their fault. They just don't have the resources that they need to kind of dive into, complicated investigations. So that's where the state police comes in, and that's what we should do, in addition to tactical support, air support, all the different things that we bring to the table. That is our mission, and by statute, that's the job we're supposed to be doing. So I would say our biggest goal is number one, finding a way to say yes. When these people call and ask for help, the answer is yes. We're going to find our way to it, and we've not always been good about that, and that's something that we've really stressed throughout our rank and file. And number two, having the resources to be able to say yes, to handle those requests as they come in.
How do you guys handle the mental well-being of the troopers? Do you guys have programs in place? Because that's been a big thing up recently in the news about the mental health well-beings of law enforcement officers. What kind of programs does ASP have in place for troopers if they want to reach out, or if you encourage that, to reach out to, I don't know if they've got, employment type stuff going on, or if you guys have specific programs?
We do. We've got a pretty robust wellness program now. Excuse me. And we get a monthly report on the number of people that our wellness program or the people in our wellness program see. It's a pretty significant number. I was surprised to see the numbers But one of the things that we did was completely separate that out of the divisions to where it's not a personnel matter. They can go and they can talk to our wellness people with complete anonymity. There's no concern on their part that it's going to somehow affect their job, that their supervisors are going to be made aware, things like that. They work basically under the same principle that a lot of licensed counselors do. There's some things that if it was severe enough that they've got a moral and legal responsibility to make us aware of. So if we need to put that person on administrative leave and get them some, a higher level of help, we can do that. But we've got just trained peer counselors that do an outstanding job of working with their rank and file, and again, they're able to kind of diagnose that, triage that a little bit, and if they need to send them to a higher level of care, we can do so.
How do you encourage Aaron to stay motivated and maintain a positive outcome in a profession that can be quite demanding and stressful?
I couldn't hear the first part of your question. I didn't hear, but
I said, how do you guys stay motivated and maintain a positive outlook in a profession that can be quite demanding and stressful?
I tell you, we actually just talked about this, Colonel Hagar and I, and to me, each day I'll start it off with some sort of physical fitness activity, and just wake up with the mentality of today's a new day with new opportunities. This job is stressful enough. And we try to encourage these guys to go out there and work. They're going to make mistakes, but we learn from these mistakes and do better. But going to work should be fun. We spend too much time in a tough workplace, in a tough work environment, that you bring a lot of evil stuff back home. And so these guys should be comfortable, and their stress shouldn't be in their own agency.
That's right. And for me, it's belief in what we do. It's belief in the people that we have working for our agency. I tell people all the time, they are so much better at this job than I ever was. It's not even funny. I mean, there's no comparison. And it's hard not to get motivated just coming to work and reading the significant activity emails and seeing the videos from the night before and seeing the work that these guys are doing. For years I've called it doing the Lord's work. They are absolutely doing the Lord's work. They're saving lives every day. I mean, so I don't know how you couldn't get motivated about that. And, like Jason said, it's our job to give them the support to go and do that. They don't need to fear their agency. And it's our responsibility now to make sure they have the resources they need to do the job. And it's our job to shield them, from those kind of outside pressures. I've told people before, one of the things that we feel very strongly about is this is a simple job, and public safety trumps everything. And if I ever get to the point where I put more emphasis on fear of liability for myself or the department, fear of liability for our troopers, then I'll quit. I'll go home. I've got my time in. I'm blessed with Governor Sanders. She is fully supportive of our mentality and our approach to law enforcement. And so there's no pressure there, and I'm very thankful for that. But if the day ever came, if we, changed administrations and they said, hey, we need to, pump the brakes and we're wrecking too many cars and we've got too many YouTube videos out there and the pressure's getting too big, then that's my sign. I'm going home. But as long as we're in this position, I'm blessed with, I'm biased, but I think we've got the best command staff in America, and we're all very mission oriented. And we are just adamant believers in what we do. And, and as long as we, express that to the rank and file and they know they're supported, then I feel like we're doing our job.
Just my last question. This might be for Colonel Aaron. I'm not sure, Colonel Hagar.
If it's about fitness, is it physical fitness?
No.
No, okay. All right, go ahead.
No, it's not about physical. It's about, this was about, you just mentioned vehicles, and we all know the Dodge Charger stopped being produced. What are you guys going to be doing for vehicles? This is a major question for every agency across the country, because the Durango is going to be going out this year. Everything's going electric. How are you guys going to utilize, the segment? Because I can't see you guys going electric.
We are not going electric.
No.
Okay.
There's not many charging stations in Lafayette County, Arkansas, so Yeah, that's not an option for us.
We've been fortunate. Colonel Kennedy had some Dodge Chargers kind of pre-ordered, saw this coming, and so prepped for that. And so we've got some in the pool, but we had to transition to some of the twin turbo Ford Explorers, and so we'll have to be careful where we assign those. Obviously, the Chargers handle the interstates better, but
and Dodge is supposed to be coming out with it's a V6, but it's a twin turbo car that they said that is comparable to the Charger. We've not seen it yet. We've not had the ability to drive one and T&E one, but we're hopeful that they're going to put a product out there that is compatible with our needs. So right now, I mean, we're kind of like everybody else. We're watching the pool to see what's going to be available, and we'll try to buy the equipment that best suits our needs. So, but it is a big question mark for all of us.
It is.
It is for us too, and unfortunately, it's trending the wrong way. Our pursuits were down this year compared to last year, but the numbers are not even close. The people in the room get sick of hearing this, but my first year assigned to Troop A as the Highway Patrol Commander was in 2017, and in that year we had 74 pursuits. My last year as the Highway Patrol Commander in Little Rock was in 2022, and we had 324 pursuits. So it's amazing, the uptick, and I can't explain it. And and people do know. I mean, we tell our troopers that as soon as you can articulate their fleeing, put them in the ditch, because that's the safest thing for the public. And we're not going to back off of that. We've gotten a lot of pressure. There's a lot of people that don't understand that, and that's fine. I don't understand what they do for a living, but they just need to understand that we're going to put public safety first, and that's the safest thing for the public, is to stop that pursuit immediately. So as long as they keep running, we're going to keep putting a bumper on them, and hopefully eventually that that message will get out there and they'll stop, but they haven't yet.